Since it's a smaller size, I'm going to think about using smaller brushes like that. And I'm going to go ahead, it's a hot press paper, so it has a slicker surface. Everything's going to stay more on the top. And then I made sure that this is pressed down, and I'm going to go ahead and just get my sky in. Now, I intentionally wanted to use the hot press here so I could get more watercolory effects. At least that's what I was thinking. I'm going to have a hill in the background, so I'll go about right here, go to the edge of the roof, so we're basically doing a little negative painting around it, just like that. If you wanted to put some clouds in, you could think about that, but it's still really wet and shiny, so I really can't do anything with that just yet. Get a little burnt sienna. Oh, that looks more like burnt umber in there. Okay, we'll use that. And what I'm thinking about, this tip is a little round, it doesn't have a fine point, I've used it a lot, and I might get, everything's going to be more blunt in here, but I'm going to have some soft edges, and I'll show you just a second what in the world I'm thinking about. Let's get some trees in there, and it should make sense to you in just a moment. And we can see that it's bleeding and blooming through here, which is nice. And let's see, let's take a look at the difference. Now this is that's more of a liner brush. You can see how tall, how long that is, and you can see how, I think you can see how short this is. You can easily get caught in trying to put in all those details. We just want to suggest it, make it real simple. And I'm going to let's take a look at the reds. I haven't worked on any significant painting lately, so I have like leftover colors in here. This is a little permanent alizarin crimson, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And if I want it to be more brownish or rusty, I would take maybe burnt sienna, but I have burnt umber in here. I can always grab the burnt sienna, either one, just so you can get an idea. And if you can see, that's creating some nice little effects there. It's going to bleed. Now, one thing I could have done, I could have thought about putting that shadow in already, but now, since I didn't, I'm going to go ahead and start getting my reds in. Let's see, I think I'd like it. I have my little polluted colors all over the place. I'm working wet on dry, just getting some color in, a little bit of water. We just want to get some color on here. Now, if you live in an area that has a lot of barns, this will be really easy for you to do. Even if we have a little bit of those little white lines underneath, that's kind of nice too. That'll be fine. I actually really like that, so I think I'm going to pretty much leave that alone, maybe drop in a tiny bit more color. You can take your time and do more than I am. So we don't need to put in all those lines like on the brush, because that gives you a variation of the stroke, but this is pretty small. So I'm going to go ahead, I could use this one, but let's give this a try just because the length of the hair is long. Let's see. So I'm taking my French ultramarine blue right in here, and then again holding my brush higher up the handle, and I'm going to go and just play with the amount of pressure. So I'm pressing a little harder and then lighter touch, but you'll get the idea. And what I'm not thrilled with, this is not holding the amount of water that I want. It's drier, so I could use a squirrel quill, but what I'm going to do is come into this one, my number 8 blend, and I'm going to use my French ultramarine blue, a little bit of that, try to blend those two together. What I'm looking for is a bit more water in that stroke. So we're basically using the same color here, and then I'm going to go bring a shadow underneath that eave, just like this, but I'm just touching it with a few drops of very lightly tinted water. Okay, so if I wanted to add a bit more detail, I don't want to go in with a large brush like this. Just otherwise we can end up losing that spontaneity of it. Not much. So I'm going to change the value and go to a lighter and just maybe add a stroke through there. And that might be all I do. Not, maybe a couple more if you wanted.